Welcome to 100% Hockey. After day one of the men's Olympic hockey tournament in Milan, where the two scores were, let's face it, surprising. Slovakia beat Finland 4-1. Juraj Slafkovsky with a pair of goals. He continues to marvel people at the Olympics. He was great as a 17-year-old in Beijing in 2022, and 2 more goals, now 9 total Olympic goals for the Montreal forward, leading the Slovaks to, I don't think it's a major upset, but it certainly is an upset of the Finns, who looked a little bit disinterested at times through their first game. The other one was a moral victory for the Italians. They lose 5-2. But they played a great game. In fact, scored the first goal of the game and came back to tie it at 2 before the Swedes took over the game. Gustafsson in goal was much better in the second half of the game. 18 consecutive saves to salt it away. They had 60 shots on goal, the Swedes did. And the Italian goaltending was pretty darn good for the most part, despite the fact that the starter goaltender had to leave with an injury halfway through the third period. So that's day one. Slovakia 4, and the Slovakia 4, and the Finns 1, and Sweden 5, and the Italians 2. With that done, we go on to day 2, which is Thursday. 4 games, including Switzerland versus France, Czechia versus Canada, Latvia plays the United States, and Germany plays Denmark. And that's where most of our conversation will be today with the coach, Ken Hitchcock, and with NHL.com's Mike Zeisberger. If you like the show, if you enjoy the show, give us a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. And don't forget you can watch us on YouTube or listen to us on multiple podcast platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Music. This is 100% Hockey with Millard and Shannon.
NHL TV is now on DAZN. Hockey lives here.
Here we go.
Watch every game from every team. The best players in the world. And the coldest plays on ice. Watch up to 4 games at once for the ultimate NHL experience. Sign up now at DAZN.
On YouTube, on Apple, on Spotify, on Podbean, and on Amazon Music and any other podcast platform, this is 100% Hockey. Best on best, taking a look at the men's tournament at the Olympic Winter Games in Milan, Italy. Joined by Mike Zeisberger of NHL.com and the coach, Ken Hitchcock, who, what did you think of day one, Hitch? I mean, all of a sudden, the Slovakia with the big victory, and then the Italians put a scare into the Swedes. This is Olympic hockey, isn't it?
Yeah, it's who takes the middle of the ice and controls the middle of the ice, and both teams, Slovakia and the Italians, did a good job in the middle of the ice and made it hard for people.
Zeiss, your thoughts?
Well, I'm watching that Italy game when it's close, like 3-2 for Sweden, and Sweden ended up with 60 shots on goal. And Hitch, you can probably speak to this. It reminded me of, I was talking to Marty Brodeur last week, and he talked about in 2006 where they Canada got shut out by the Swiss 2-0, and they had 50 shots, and they got Martin Gerbert in that game. And it just goes to show you when it's one and done like this, you get a hot goalie. And I know we talk about that in the Stanley Cup playoffs, but that's a best 4 out of 7, or in previous years 3 out of 5. So you have a chance to come back from that. You get a hot goalie like Italy had today, like Slovakia had today, and all of a sudden, Sweden ended up winning, but you're the Finns today, and it's like, we've dug ourselves a hole, and, there's only been 2 games played in the tournament.
you get games like this early in the tournament all the time, and that then it settles down and becomes a best on best or true best on best. But you get these type of games always early in the tournament.
Did you tell yourself that in 2002 against the Swedes, Ken?
They played better than us. They were way.
Well, because I'm kind of relating what the Slovaks did to the Finns today to a little bit of 2002, because I obviously the Finns were surprised, right?
Well, they brought a system. The Swedes brought a system in that we never seen before. That torpedo.
The torpedo, yeah.
And we got torpedoed by the torpedo. So, but we were ready for it. As the tournament went on, there were a few surprises after a while.
I don't know. I just how do you if you're coaching the Finns tonight, what are you telling your team after truly being outplayed by a younger, bigger, faster Slovak team? What are you telling them?
They got to play better. They got to get a lot grittier. They got to go out into the harder areas. They got to stay in the harder areas. They tried to win on the game on the perimeter, and you can't do that at this time of year. They got to get some of their big dogs that got to dig in a lot deeper than they dug in today.
Mike, what do you think of the Finns?
Well, that kind of surprises me, because the Finns usually, they're one of those teams that a lot of times overachieves. A lot of times Sweden has the more, and I'm just bringing up their fellow Scandinavian countries, but a lot of times Sweden has the flashier players, but the Finns are known for their defensive play and their grit. And I didn't see that today. And, of course, Barkov not being there is a big deal, but they didn't lose today because Barkov wasn't there. To Hitch's point, they're usually the ones that grind teams down. They're usually the ones that plays a suffocating defense in the neutral zone. And I did not see that today. And that's really, really surprising to me. Now, all of a sudden, whenever, at some point when Sweden and Finland play, Sweden's going to smell blood and say, we can really, put the dagger in there. And all of a sudden, if that happens, Finland's going to have to go up against Italy and worry about goal differential against some of the other teams that are trying to get in. So, it is a big, I think it's probably a big shock. But the bottom line is they've got to play a lot better, and they got to play more towards what the identity is of Finnish hockey, which I didn't see today.
Does the small rink make it a speed game, Ken?
Not so much a speed game, but it makes it more of a chip and chase game. And you could see it on the wall in the neutral zone. You had to chip pucks behind defensemen a lot more than you would. You couldn't make plays in the middle, but I don't think it's that big a deal, to be honest with you, Shanny. I think the deal is that, teams prepare all year, like the Italians prepare all year for one game. They want to make a good showing in front of their home fans, and they did that. They made a good showing because they played hard. They played gritty.
There was one play in the first period. Sebastian Aho was called for offside on a long pass from his own zone, and to me, that was the only time you noticed the small neutral zone.
Yeah,
but other than that, other than those passes and I would assume getting your timing down, that will be the only time we'll notice that neutral zone being as small as it is. Correct?
Yeah, I think you're going to find the forwards coming back deeper for the puck now. They're going to come back deeper in the neutral zone for the puck. I think you're going to see them create more space by bringing people back towards the defenseman.
Wake-up call for the Swedes today, Mike?
I don't think, Philip Gustafsson, I think he would like to have the one goal for sure back, and maybe both of them. But, again, Shannon, they had 60 shots on goal. And so it's not like they weren't creating chances. I thought the Italians did a good job to Hitch's point of trying to keep them to the outside. But I think more for Sweden, it's just like a collective, they all take a sigh of relief and said, we got through that. There's a lot of parts of our game that, we like. We do have to get to the middle a little bit more. My biggest question is goaltending. I mean, do they go to Wallstat after that game? I mean, you've got it's a unique position for the Swedes in goal because you've got teammates in the NHL with the Minnesota Wild being your number one and number two goaltenders, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see Wallstat in the next game and whether he takes the torch and runs with it.
Hitch?
Those are ugly times when you got to make decisions like that.
You're right.
I mean, they're not fun. They're not fun.
Well, Hitch, you mentioned, John mentioned 2002 against the Swedes. I mean, you guys had to make a hard decision going into the second game because, from Curtis Joseph to Marty Brodeur, and like you said, they outplayed you. It wasn't just Cujo, but from what I remember, the biggest difference is the way that Marty was able to handle pucks and get them out of there. Because as we know, he is one of, if not the best stick handling goaltenders that we've ever seen. In fact, they changed the lines on the ice because of him.
Well, same thing happened in 2010. So
sure.
Through two of them, and they're not fun. They're not fun to be around.
So let's dig a little bit deeper into that without you giving away confidences. The conversations at that point with Babs in 2010, with Pat in 2002, was the coaching staff decisive that something had to happen, or was there a ton of discussion about how do we manage this? What was going through the Brain Trust's mind at that point?
Everybody had a say, and then Babs made the decision, and then also Quinter made the decision. But we all had a say, and it was not defined. It wasn't like 6-0 or 5-0. There was a lot of debate, a lot of discussion, and then those two gentlemen made the decisions. They made the final call.
And
I've always been intrigued. Just one thing, John. I've always been intrigued with that, Hitch, because the coaching staff makes those decisions, But in 2002, does Wayne Gretzky have a say in that? Does the general manager have a say, or do they leave it to the coaches?
They all did. Everybody had a say in it. Everybody in management had a say. And it was a hot debate, and then Pat made the decision. I don't want to get too much into it because it took a lot of courage for what Pat did.
Sure it did. Well, and it ruined his friendship with Curtis Joseph, let's face it. Yeah. But when the discussions are ongoing, do you end up talking about what's going to happen when we go home? Do you end up talking? Is it just micro-focused on what's going to happen during the Olympics?
Pat knew exactly what was going to happen when he went home. Yeah. And he showed a lot of courage.
So if you're the Swedish coach, I mean, I think knowing full well the way the round robin works, the preliminary round, that whole thing on the Monday, which is the qualification playoffs, so you still have a chance to get back into the quarterfinals. Don't you want to play all your goaltenders, Ken?
You want to win.
Yeah.
And to me, Gustafsson won the game. Like he still won the hockey game. He made one mistake, but he still won the hockey game. I think in the first two games you maybe want to split, but after that you're going with the guy that's going to win you the games. You're not worried about splitting or people's feelings or anything. When you talk about sacrifice, that's an area that has to be sacrificed.
Well, I'll tell you what. Go ahead.
How much does it go into checking your ego at the door? We always hear players say that. Is that easier said than done?
No. I can tell you the good players are the easiest people to coach in these competitions at all. They're set to give up anything and everything. Your really good players know exactly what it takes to win. They know what it takes to sacrifice, and they're more than willing to do it.
So when the Swedes play the Finns on Friday, would you be surprised to see Wallstedt in goal for Sweden?
I wouldn't be surprised, but I think it would have been planned before. Like, who's playing the first two games? Are we going with one guy, or what are we doing? Those decisions would have been made well before this game.
And communicated to the goaltenders?
I don't know about that, but I know the coaches would have known what to do.
All right. Well, day one of the men's hockey tournament, we looked at the names of the teams. We figured that it was going to be a Finnish victory and a Swedish victory. We were 1 for 2, but we had great drama and great stories in both games. When we come back on 100% Hockey, we'll talk about day 2, which includes Canada's first game against Czechia. The Americans are going to play Latvia. And the other 2 games, trust me, are going to be just as emotional as anything we've seen so far. It's Ken Hitchcock, Mike Zeisberger, and me on 100% Hockey. Best on best from Milan. Back after this.
NHL TV is now on DAZN. Hockey lives here.
Here we go.
Watch every game from every team. The best players in the world. And the coldest plays on ice. Watch up to 4 games at once for the ultimate NHL experience. Sign up now at DAZN.
Welcome back, 100% Hockey. Best on best at the Milan Olympic Winter Games. Okay, we've had the appetizer, 2 games on day 1. Now we get to the main course right away. We finished talking about goaltending, Ken Hitchcock. John Cooper has already said he wasn't going to tell us who was going to coach. It's about this time of night. He's probably telling the starting goaltender who's going to play. But he did also say today that he's going to play 2 different goaltenders in his first 2 games. So if I went and did some wagering, am I going to make money on Jordan Binnington, do you think?
As the starter?
Yes, tomorrow. Yeah.
Yes, I think he's earned that right.
And what would the conversation be with Jordan beyond Thursday's game?
Nothing. You're starting this game, another guy's starting the second game, then we'll make a decision where we go from there. You don't get too far ahead of yourself.
Mike? Well, we know that Jordan plays better when he's got a chip on his shoulder, and look it doesn't surprise me, when a lot of people were doubting because Jordan's had a bit of a struggle this season. It didn't surprise me when they picked him to be on the team. And it would surprise me if Logan Thompson started tomorrow. It really would, Shanny, because we keep hearing from those guys, you know what, when it counted on the biggest stage, at 4 Nations, it was Jordan Binnington. And wait, let's not forget, there's no revisionist history here. Going into that 4 Nations tournament, everybody talked about the biggest question mark. The Achilles heel of Canada was goaltending. Well, yeah, Canada won the tournament, and Connor McDavid scored the winning goal in overtime of the championship game. If people forget, they should go back and watch the first 5 minutes of overtime. Yeah. Because Jordan Binnington didn't save their butts once or twice or 3 times. He made about 5 highlight reel saves that saved Canada's butt. Okay? And we've seen him do that in a Game 7 of a Stanley Cup final against the Boston Bruins as well. So to me, he's earned the trust and, as Hitch said, earned the right to start that game tomorrow. Now, past that, we'll see how it goes. But I never was as skeptical as a lot of people were about Jordan Binnington, because when there were a lot of doubters last year, when it mattered on the biggest stage, he was the biggest difference maker until Connor McDavid scored.
Anybody more competitive than Binnington in this game, Hitch?
Oh, there's a lot of guys just as competitive as Jordan. He's a special guy, but there's a lot of guys just as competitive.
But what makes him so special then?
Big save at the right time. Big save at the right time all the time.
Because he's not the biggest guy. I mean, in a position that has become a position that has become a big man's position. Jordan Binnington's not a big guy.
His tracking of the puck is excellent, and he's good at it. So, and if the coach has trust in him, like you saw at the end of the game, how much he trusts him, that's the guy you go with for me.
And so if as John has already told us that he's going to go with a second guy for the second game, which is going to be on Friday against Switzerland. So Sunday, when they end up playing France, by the France game, are you telling us that that's the goalie of record? Is that fair to say?
I'm not so sure on that. I think you got to decide on how the guy's playing, but I guarantee you they got a plan. They got a plan for the first 3 games, not 2 games.
But is it unreasonable to think that it'll be Binnington, Thompson, then Kemper? Can you see a point where all 3 goalies get a start? I
don't know about that. That sometimes gets confusing when you're adding all that to the mix.
What would you do, Mike?
I would say I would hold off on that, to be honest with you. Shuffling 2 is okay. Shuffling 3 is hard.
It is in the regular season too, isn't it? With running 3 goalies. So I think we were all surprised at the start of 4 Nations that not that they named Binnington the starter, but that they went with them the whole time. Can you see that, albeit with the second game being another goalie? Can you see them just going back to Binnington and running with him if he has a great game against Czechia?
Yeah, why not? They're in the winning business. I think it depends on how the team plays in front of them too. Sometimes it's goalies for choices, and sometimes the team plays good in front of a certain goalie. So you got lots of time to look at that. But I think that Binnington's earned the right to start, and then see where it goes from there. I don't think you have to promise anything to anybody other than the first game.
And Mike, the Americans have already announced that Connor Hellebuck will play against Latvia. I don't think we should be surprised with that. Do you?
I'm not surprised at it, John, but the fact that, you listen to the white noise around, and, I am a little surprised that everybody has had this, at least the majority of the white noise that I've heard, that de facto, it's Connor Hellebuck. Do you remember how Connor Hellebuck played in the playoffs last year? He was very hot and cold. He wasn't bad at 4 Nations. I don't think
he was 1 goal away from being the winning goalie.
I agree. Yeah, but did he steal a game? I'll be honest with you, John. I like Jake Ottinger, and I'm not saying that he should start. I'm not, maybe to Hitch's point, they have a plan where Hellebuck starts game 1 and Ottinger starts game 2. But I think that Jake Ottinger is an up and comer. I think maybe he hasn't gotten his team to the final, but he's been the starting goalie for a team that's made the Western Conference Final 3 consecutive years. And to be honest, I haven't seen the same Connor Hellebuck this season, and I know he's been injured, as I have in the past. Now, that's not to say that I don't think he should be the number one goalie, which I do. It's not to say that they can't ride him for a long way. But I do think the Americans do have, I don't know if you say fortunate or whatever, but their cachet of goalies, it's a pretty impressive. When you look at Hellebuck, when you look at Ottinger, and then when you look at Jeremy Swayman as well. So it depends what their plan is. But, Hitch brought up some good points about, you look at 2002 and 2010 with Canada. The number one thing is winning. And if you see a guy wobbling a little bit, it wouldn't surprise me if they go to somebody else.
So one of the parts about the Thursday games, and by the way, just so we're clear, Switzerland, France, Czechia, Canada, and then Latvia, USA, and Germany, Denmark are the 4 games on Thursday, which it could be a really exciting. I think 3 of those games could be electric. I'm not so sure about the French playing the Swiss, but the other 3 I think could be spectacular games. So the question for you as a coach, Ken, is how much do you put into stock the way you played the first game? Is it better that you struggle and win, or barely win, or even lose the first game, so that you can actually coach and adjust to something for the rest of the tournament? I know you like to win every game.
The best thing in the first game is to make sure you found chemistry, that you're not searching for chemistry the next game, that you found some things that worked. So you want to win, but chemistry is really important so that you can win and when it really matters. And I would say right now you're looking for solid chemistry in your lines, solid chemistry in your D pairs, and then see where you go from there.
It certainly sounds too. You on the show yesterday, you talked about the possibility of one of those big 3 centers, McKinnon, McDavid, Crosby, actually moving to the wing. And it certainly looks like Nathan McKinnon's got a possibility of moving to the wing and playing with Sid. There is some logic to that, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. You get your best players out on the ice more in critical matchups. They're going to dominate the game, and you got to get them out there as much as you can. And I wouldn't be surprised if all 3 of those centers end up playing some wing at some period of time.
So hold on. So that's why you have 6 centers on your team, is so you can just rotate centermen? Is that what you're saying? What
I'm saying is the 6 guys they got to play center are smart players and can make a difference. Yep. And if they're going well, get them out there more. What position they play is not relevant. How much they play is relevant. And if they're going well, get them out there as much as you can. And that's what I'm saying.
That was the best indicator of 2010, right? That's what happened in 2010, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the same thing in 2014. Our good players were going good, so they played all the time.
No, but 2000. To be the devil's advocate, 2014. I would assume you loved the 2014 tournament. You loved the way the team played every time they were on the ice. Correct?
Yes.
And as a fan, as a viewer, as a TV guy, it was boring as shit. But it won. But you won. I'm not disputing winning, but it was not electric. We need electric. This tournament's going to be faster than 14, isn't it?
We need wins. Okay.
Do you see, Mike Zeiss? You see how his eyes lit up when I started saying it was boring?
Jesus, Jenny, how long you been in this business? You just asked the Hall of Fame coach if he's more interested in excitement than winning. Okay? You know what they did there? You know, in football, when teams get up and then, and now I'm dating myself, but like a John Riggins or something, and they run the ball and they milk the clock for the last 12 minutes of a game. They say they take the air out of the ball. Well, you know what that team did? Team Canada, it took the air out of the puck. Okay? And you're never going to get him to say anything else but you're there to win. Okay? And that's exactly what they did. They suffocated. I think 4 of their top 5 scorers were defensemen, if I'm not wrong, in terms of goals. That's how, I remember I was talking to somebody, I was actually talking to Dan Bilesma this week, the U.S. coach, and we're talking about in the semifinal, I believe Canada beat them 1-0. It may have been the most one-sided 1-0 game. Like, you could probably have counted the U.S.'s scoring chances on one hand. So, yeah, you know what? I mean, and here's the thing too, Shanny. You know what? You say you want excitement in Canada. Nobody's switching the TV off because, this is boring, but Canada's winning. Let's see what's going on in the curling. That's not happening.
But to be the devil's advocate, 2010, they weren't high-scoring games, but they appeared to be a lot faster in Vancouver than they were in Sochi. What did you think, Ken? Which was a faster tournament?
We had the puck the whole time in Sochi, so we didn't look fast, but we had the puck the whole time.
Yeah,
that's how you win.
I just remember the gold medal game against the Americans. Every time one of those guys, Kessel or Parisi they took the puck across the blue line, that crowd of 18,000 people were cringing something might happen. So that I just, as much as I understand the logic and I appreciate the dedication, I just get a sense that this is going to be a much faster tournament. Even today we got a better sense of what speed does for a hockey club, because that's what the Slovaks used all day long was speed. So that's why I asked the question. So let's turn to the Americans. How can the Americans? The Americans, I think, are going to try to be physical, because as we've talked about for the last 3 weeks since the teams have been named, they built a team to beat Canada. Mike, how does this team succeed without being physical, or can it?
Well, you can still be physical. You just can't get into the, extracurricular activities, unfortunately, for those of us that were in that at the Bell Center for the first greatest 9 seconds in hockey history. But
you're not supposed to admit
look at it. Hitch mentioned earlier about how important it is to chip pucks behind defensemen and go in. So I think the cycle game is going to be as important as we've ever seen it. Okay? That's where physicality comes in. I look at the one, I was really intrigued when I saw the one U.S. line of Jack Eichel between both the Tkachuks. Because I think that at this point in his career, Jack Eichel is playing better hockey than he ever has. I think he's a dominant player. And for him, to look to have space, to find space, and having the Tkachuks create it against the wall, I think that's going to be very, very important. Look at a lot of people are shocked that John Cooper and his coaching staff have put Tom Wilson with Connor McDavid. I'm not. Who better on that team, especially on the cycle, to create space for Connor McDavid than Tom Wilson? And so you talked about the compressed ice. I think physicality is still going to play a huge role, but it's going to be it's not with fighting or any of that ridiculous stuff. And I only say ridiculous in an Olympics because, again, some of us enjoyed what happened at the Four Nations, but there is room for it. Where you get now, John, into, you sail into uncharted waters is gray area, retaliation from the Tkachuks, from a Tom Wilson. Can you still play that frisky, trying to goad the opponents into doing things that'll end up in the penalty box without crossing the line? That to me is going to be one of the most intriguing parts of both those teams.
How aware, Ken, do you make the players of those scenarios and the fact that it is, I know the rule book is much closer than it used to be to the NHL, but that the IHF rule book is a little bit different?
Yeah, the players know that. They've worked on that already. They're ready for it. Both teams are good. I think the Americans, quite frankly, are the quickest team in the tournament. They skate well. They really move the puck well. And the Canadians are really good at the cycle game. So this is going to be interesting. I think both teams know exactly what it takes to win. They've shown that. And that's what's going to make it really interesting, because I think their experience at Four Nation is going to really help them in this tournament. And I think you're going to see great hockey. I don't know if it's going to be fast or concise or whatever, but it's going to be great hockey.
So the Latvians play the Americans. The Latvians play, I would have said they play a close style to the Finns, but it's even more physical than the Finns, isn't it, Ken?
Yeah, but they take away the middle of the ice. They got 5 back all the time, John. 5 back all.
So what do we expect? How do the Americans beat that?
They got to go into the hard areas, and they're more than willing to go into those hard areas. But they're going to have to go there because there's going to be numbers there from the Latvians. They're going to be backing up. They're going to be controlling the neutral zone. They're going to be stacking it up on their own blue line, and you're going to have to get it in, and then you're going to have to grind it to the front of the net.
In a regular Stanley Cup playoff series, line matchups and how things progress and evolve over a 5 or a 7 game series are a storyline. As a coach in the Olympics, are you concerned about matchups, line matchups, or defensive pairings against specific guys? Does that bother you, or are you got so much talent on every line and every pair that you just put anybody out?
I don't think you put anybody out, but I think what you do is you know the matchups you want, and usually against the European teams, because they don't focus so much on it, you're going to get it. So whatever you want, you're going to get. And then you just got to take advantage of it. But I think there's a lot of guys that can play against good players, so it'll be interesting.
Well, it's going to be a fun day, Thursday. We will be back after the games to rehash it and discuss it and see what happens and what storylines will start to weed out as this Olympic hockey tournament goes into Day 2 and Day 3 on Friday. Ken, Mike, thanks for this. And right. We will be back after this on 100% Hockey. Car shopping should be exciting, not exhausting. That's where Car Gurus comes in. They have advanced search tools, unbiased deal ratings, and price history, so you know a great deal when you see one. It's no wonder that Car Gurus is the #1 rated car shopping app in Canada. When you're car shopping on your phone, it shouldn't be a maze. You need to see all the information. With the Car Gurus app, you can. Powerful search tools that you see deal ratings, price history, and dealer reviews on listings all in one place. And you can turn on real-time price drop alerts so you never miss a great deal. Car Gurus connects you with trusted dealerships when you're ready, ensuring a transparent, hassle-free buying process. Buy your next car today at cargurus.ca. Make sure your deal is the best deal. That's cargurus.ca. cargurus.ca. So by the time most of you listen or watch to this program, we will know whether or not it's Jordan Binnington in goal for Canada. I would expect it is. We already know it's Connor Hellebuck in goal for the United States. But as we saw on day 1, the Olympic tournament is a goaltenders tournament. It's going to be one that if you get a guy that's hotter than a pistol, you can make a difference. Thursday is 4 games: Switzerland, France, Czechia, Canada, Latvia, United States, Germany, Denmark. And we will be back around the same time as we were tonight, around 7 Eastern Time, maybe 7:30 Eastern Time, with another program recapping what we saw and previewing what we will see on day 3 on Friday. For Ken Hitchcock and Mike Zeisberger and the ever-vacationing Darren Millard. For Hugh McClarty, our producer, this is John Shannon. Thanks for listening or watching 100% Hockey.